Okay, so, and then I'll just do we need to just do like a signal? How do we make it sound like someone's about to walk on stage? Not really, just walk on. It's casual. Ra, ba, ba. We'll do a cabaret show. Yeah. Okay. Mondli, you can go up. Watch, let's just stand there. Muhammad will give you a thumb. But you go stand there to get some.
Greetings and Abshin. Yeah, really great to be here. And I just want to say that one of the things that, in addition to the fantastic morning going to the afternoon that we're going to have, one of the things that pleases me about being here in an Absa setting is that I belong to the champions in waiting of the Absa Premier Soccer League. And you all know who that is. Yeah, just to quote that horrid phrase that politicians like, all protocols observed. I'm sure you all of us want to say that one day. No? Yeah, anyway, thanks very much for being here to share with us this great day, kind of like the culmination of this journey by our contestants. This Money Makeover journey that we as City Press have been doing in partnership with Absa. Just want to say that as City Press, we take our role as changers of society, as improvers of society very seriously. And we play this role in many ways. We play it by holding power to account, by holding authorities to account, whether it's private or political. And we play this role by providing platforms for dialogues. We do it by making sure that there's a national conversation, that we're aiding society to find solutions to challenges, and we also do it by entertaining society, just by being frivolous. But the most important thing, I think our most important role as a media player is by changing the lives of our readers, by making sure that our readers are able to live their best lives. And Money Makeover is exactly that. It helps our readers to live their best lives by being financially equipped to live that life and to be able to improve their lives and to be able to manage their finances. And so this has been a very, very important journey for us. And I just want to say thank you to Absa for partnering with us on this. And it has really been a very productive partnership, and which we hope will be long-lasting. And to say thank you to Maya. I do not see her here over there. I only see you on the screen. So when you're in the flesh, it's like I don't see you. So yeah. And also thank you to the Absa advisors. If I can just read them out. Jacques Fenter, Maria Mukhomotsi, Matt Radman, Clarity de Jong, Charlotte Pretorius, and Elton Govender. And thank you really for your contribution and sharing the expertise and your time with the candidates. But the biggest thank you, the biggest gratitude goes to the contestants, because it is you who were the heart of this journey. Monique, Vaughn, Buti, Mabato, Zamoguhle, and Howard, thank you for sharing your lives and your struggles and your challenges and your triumphs and your breakthroughs with us, with the rest of the leadership, with the rest of South Africa. You inspired us and touched our lives. We at Absa and City Press, who were close to your stories. But what you don't know is just how many people, tens of thousands of people that you actually touched beyond your immediate circles. People who will have been inspired by your stories. So really, thank you very much. And I wish you all the best in going forward. It is through this, I think, that there can be no reversing. You can only grow much further from here. And I think one of the things that I'd just like to say in conclusion is that the value of this, I think there are many people who don't know that they can actually change their lives. People stare at an abyss and they think that it's over, and they are in despair. But actually, there are tools, there are ways in which you can turn your life around, your financial life around. And you have done that. And as I said, you have inspired tens of thousands of others. One only wishes that there's a certain man who today is sitting in a village somewhere in KwaZulu-Natal, who I'm sure wishes that he could also have been exposed to Money Makeover a long time ago, and he would not have found himself in the position that he's in today. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I don't know who the editor is talking about. I have no idea. Does anybody here know? I have no idea who he's talking about, so I won't even go there. Good morning, everyone. My name is Songes Ozibi, and I'm responsible for communications at Absa. Soon to be Absa Group Limited in a couple of months' time. It's still Barclays Africa Group Limited for now, through the continent. I don't know how many of you have been here before, because you're probably wondering where the money is, what kind of branch this is. This is not a branch. It's called a concept store, and my colleague Liesl, I'm going to talk about her just now. Liesl, where are you? Okay, she's hiding. So she'd been dragging me. Oh, yeah, you are. She'd been dragging me to come here, and eventually I did. So it's every Thursday, right? Every first Thursday, Wednesdays and Thursdays. This is a space where people discuss lots of stuff, everything. There is usually no room to stand here every Wednesday and Thursday night. And it's every topic to do with money, to do with politics, to do with society, to do with entertainment, trends, and so on. So if you happen to be in the area, just pop in. And usually, just pop in a little bit early. So, but this is a very wonderful space that we have decided to invest in here in Rosebank for things like this, as well as an opportunity for people to gather and talk, and to also talk about trends. Now, I'm going to tell two stories, guys, personal stories of mine. One is from my family, the other one is mine, my personal story. So at some point in, I think it was January 1983, so I'm revealing my age, my uncle, who had matriculated in 1982, came to see my grandfather. I was sitting with my grandfather by the kraal. I'm from a village in the Eastern Cape. And he told him how much it would cost to study at the University of Transkei then for the year. And the amount was 1,050 rand. And that included all tuition and accommodation. My grandfather nearly fell off the log he was sitting on. He wasn't even sitting on a chair. Now, just to give an idea for those who might not understand, the school fees for me, I was in standard 1, grade 3 in 1983. Now you really know how old I am. So the school fees was 160 cents a year. Okay, it was a public school, 160 cents per year. And then when you got to medium primary, it was 4 rand. And then when you got to grade 9, 10, and 11, which is standard 5, 6, and 7 back then, it was 16 rand, which was 4 rand a quarter. My grandfather was a principal of the school. And I remember at the end of every quarter, there would be a conversation in every class about when people are going to pay the outstanding 40 cents or 1 rand or 4 rand for the year, because actually money was quite hard to come by. So my uncle was the last born in my grandfather's family, and he was the first person to go to university in my family. So my grandfather sold sheep and maize, because we farm in my family. We got some land, and he paid for his school fees, and that's how he went through university. But for others before that, they started to become teachers or nurses, went to either teachers training college or went to nursing college, and so on. Fast forward to 1998, when I started working. I was doing my practicals, and I got my first job as a trainee at Volkswagen South Africa in Uitenhage. And so I had been told the year before that I had been employed, but I had a problem. And the problem was I hadn't settled my fees. My mother didn't have the money to settle the fees. So I couldn't prove at Volkswagen that I had passed in order to get the job. So and so many people know this story, right, of people who can't get a job because they haven't settled their fees, and at the same time, they need the job in order to settle their fees. So you're caught in no man's land because the money that you owe the institution is a problem. So I then explained at Volkswagen that, look, I've got a problem. I owe about 3,000 rand, and I need it, so could I get an advance? And they were kind enough to settle the fees for me, and that's how I got my first job. But one of the things that struck me was how much my mother, despite all the years that I was alive, because by then I was in my 20s, appeared not to have been ready for me to go to university at all. And my mother is a teacher, right? So every year was a struggle. And again, my story is not unique. People have the same stories. And since then, it's always stuck with me, because I now have children, and one of the things I obsess about is how can I make sure that they don't go through the same. And even with that knowledge, I know I'm still not as disciplined as I should be with money. And I'd probably be quite okay within a couple of years. And they're 10 and 9, they're 11 and 9 years old. But I need that discipline. I need somebody to hold my hand and help me. And it was only a few years ago that I decided to do this. So that's my personal story, and why this kind of thing is not about people being contestants. It is about making a real impact in people's lives. And that is why it is so important for us to get involved with this sort of thing. Why it is so important for City Press to invest space and get somebody like Maya to spend a lot of time doing this. Now, let me talk about why, as a bank, we're doing this. We're trying to do something that is hopefully different in our bank, that will characterize who and how and how we perceived through the continent. And that is to have a different relationship with our customers. And that is, you don't just come in and open a transactional banking account and we charge you the transactional fees and we're happy with that. We need to have a conversation with you about where you want to take your life. Do you have any children? Must they go to university, and so on? How can we help you realize a lot of your ambitions in your life? Now, one of the people that really have inspired me with this, because she knows the kind of struggles, I know the kind of struggles that she has had in order to make this a reality, and that's Liesel. She fought with me, she fought with my colleague, she demanded the budget for this, and she got it. And when she saw that we needed to have videos for the festive season and so on, she came back and she asked for more money. She just wouldn't go away. Eventually, we'd just give her the money to get rid of her. But she just wouldn't stop. She just wouldn't stop. And to me, she represents the kind of bank we want to be, because actually she doesn't get paid per contestant that she manages to bring on, but it's something that she really felt we really needed to do. And I think between her and Maya, they share that passion. They don't derive any direct benefit from this, and we can really take a lesson from both of them. But like Mondli before me, I want to thank each and every one of you. I was the editor of a newspaper at some point, but I'm not any longer. It is incredibly difficult and brave to put your life out there, to share it with other people, because people judge you, they make comments about you, they say, how can you be so stupid and how can you be so irresponsible? But you guys have done something really, really brave. You've taken charge of your life. You're much, much better than the people who point fingers at you. Whether or not you win today is immaterial, because you've done something for your life. And personally, that is what I am most proud of about all of you, and why I am so happy that you are here today. I'm not going to make a long speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I would like the contestants to please come and sit up here, because we'll be calling on you one by one. And it'll be easier for me if you're all sitting here. So if you could take a seat whilst I'm speaking, that would be great. Can you guide them in order? Yeah, thanks. Well, so I'm Maya Fisher-French, if you haven't gathered by now, by all the video footage. And I've had the incredible privilege to work on the Money Makeover competition with the 6 contestants and the Absa advisors and Liesel and all the rest. And what I wanted to tell you is that this is probably the project that I am most proud of in my entire life, because what we have done is we've actually radically changed people's lives. And I think what the whole point of Money Makeover was to demonstrate, and we were looking at 6 months. This is just 6 months. There's still a journey to come for these contestants, but right now, within 6 months, they have all, and you will hear soon, how much change has happened in their lives. And the change has come not because they got big salary increases, or they won the lotto, or they invested in Bitcoin. It's actually because they took control of their lives. They planned, and they had discipline. And what Money Makeover shows us is that the power for change, the power to get yourselves and improve your lives, actually lies within every single one of us. It is not an external event that we need to wait for. Just to give you a little bit of a background about Money Makeover, this is actually our second Money Makeover that we've run. It's the first time Absa's collaborated with us, and it's been an incredibly fantastic partnership. But what we did the first time we did Money Makeover, we actually ran it over a year. And the reason we ran it over a year was that we felt that it would take about a year for people to show any material changes. And what we discovered with the first Money Makeover is that most people had made material changes within 6 months. And that was such a lesson. Again, it just highlighted for me the incredible power of just taking action. And so when we launched it this time, we decided to make it 6 months, a more intensive 6-month period. And we went out in the media, we made calls, Absa made calls for candidates to apply. We did have to, because Absa was our sponsor, you did have to have an Absa account or open an Absa account to qualify. And from there we chose 6 individuals. And these 6 individuals, which we're going to hear about a little bit later, we looked at things like what were their financial goals, and we also made sure that they weren't over-indebted. We couldn't take on people who needed to go under debt review, for example, who had judgments against them, but who had perhaps some turning point or some major life goal they wanted to achieve. And we also looked for people who had an interesting human story, and that's why all of these are going to resonate so well with you, because they've all got a really good human story. And along the way, they've received guidance from their financial advisors. Each person was allocated a financial advisor. And we also had incentive prizes to reward them as they went along. And that's cost Absa quite a bit of money, because all 6 achieved their incentives. And all 6 of them have actually stayed on track right to the end, which is an incredible achievement. And I think also that the competition wasn't just about, some of our contestants was about getting out of debt, but it was much bigger than that. It was looking at your entire financial plan. We looked at saving and investing for goals. We looked at general financial planning, health, and looked at it holistically. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to call on the contestants just to come and share a little bit of their story with you this morning. And I think we're going to start with Howard. I think you're going to be the first Q&A up. Hello, Howard. I haven't had time to greet you yet. Come have a seat. Come sit down. So I'm just going to introduce a little bit. I want to tell you a little bit about Howard. So Howard is a budding property entrepreneur, and he actually has a full-time job. with a security firm, but he wanted to build a business that would give him income in retirement. And it's a very, very interesting business, a room-to-let business, which is aimed at affordable housing for specifically for migrant workers. And when Howard wrote to us, he wrote that he said that the debt that he'd incurred in building up these properties were now really becoming a problem and preventing him from moving further into the property development. And his goal was to pay off the personal loans and then expand the business. And we selected Howard from all the applications we had in because we believed that what he was trying to achieve was so important, not only in providing an income for himself, but in providing affordable housing. And I must say, I've actually been to his investment property, and literally there's a wall, and on the one side of the wall there's shacks, and the other side of the wall there's Howard's rooms that provide people with a decent accommodation, running water, a bathroom. And this is an incredible opportunity for people in, unfortunately, a city where there is not enough accommodation. And we believe that Howard is actually benefiting and doing social change through what he was doing. So Howard, I would like to just give you some time now to talk a little bit about the milestones. You have had quite a few. You've had a few challenges over the last 6 months. And just share that with the audience.
Yes, do I talk to
yes,
the mic?
Talk to the mic. You can start rapping now.
Yes, good afternoon. I don't know whether it's good morning now. But hi to everybody, and thanks, Maya, for this opportunity. Yeah, the last 6 months I've learned a lot, not only from myself, but from my competitors as well. I was following their stories as well, and they encouraged me to achieve what I wanted to achieve. But yes, over the last 6 months, it have changed my life for the better. It have taught me a lot about business, especially under the leadership of my mentor, Elton Govender. I'm sure he's standing right there at the back. Yes, when you start going into business, you have very little knowledge, and we made a big mistake. We thought, no, I'm just gonna be this bull, I'm just gonna be brave, I'm just gonna go out there, take personal loans and build my rooms. But down the line, we realized, no, these personal loans are very, very expensive, and they were eroding all the profit. The business was doing very well, but now we had some personal loans that the interest was around 29%. And that was just too much. And when we went into the competition and Elton came in, he did an excellent job because he sat down with me and he said, Howard, this is a business. It's not something that you have to take lightly and you just consider it to be passive in income. This is something you really need to take seriously. Let's sit down, let's restructure everything. We managed together to put a business plan. And that business plan, we presented it to Absa, and we got a business loan. That was a massive achievement because in my entire life, I have thought that I will never get a business loan. So the business loan was eventually granted, and it moved our monthly installments for the personal loans from 9,500 rands up to just 5,500. That was a saving of 4,000 rands. Okay. Then disaster struck in December. I then lost my job. I was using a company vehicle with petrol company. With company petroling. And when I lost my job, the company took everything. But I was fortunate that the firm that was taking over accommodated me, but with far, far less money. And now that's when the business came in. The 4,000 rands that we have saved through the business loan came to our rescue because we now took that money and we were able to pay for expenses, buy food, and move on with our lives. I should think if I wasn't in the competition when that life shock hit me, I wouldn't have survived. I've thought of so many terrible things to do until I contacted my mentor, Elton, and I said, Elton, this is what has happened. And Elton said, no, don't panic. Sit down. Let's look at your circumstances. Let's plan. and move forward. In my job, I needed a car. And now on my salary only, we could not even qualify for a car. So now we went in there, we brought the business income, and we qualified for a vehicle. All this through Absa as well. So I should think being in the competition prepared me for the most difficult time of my life. By that time when this happened, we've already, as part of the competition requirements, we have already saved some money in the in our emergency fund, which was of great help. If all those things were not there, I don't think I would have survived that. So being in the competition really changed my life, and I'm very grateful to City Press and Absa as well. That's all I can say for now.
And Howard, I mean, you've learned so much, but if there is just one thing you had to choose out of everything, that you just had to say, if somebody came to say, what is the one biggest lesson you've learned or thing that you would like to share, the one biggest one?
The business loan. That was a massive achievement. I thought it was only meant for other people. I never dreamt of it in my life. And now that means moving forward for the growth of my business, I know who to talk to. Next time when we want to expand our business, we've already established a relationship with the bank. They have my finances, they have my business plans already. So for future growth, I know exactly which door to knock on. I should think that's the most important thing I'm taking out of this competition. Thank you.
Thank you. And I must just tell you that the journey I followed with both Elton and Howard was just about putting down things properly, accounting for absolutely every cent that was spent on that business, every piece of paper, recording it, and actually running something properly. And that's what needs to be done. We have to take our finances seriously, and when we do, good things happen. But thank you very much, Howard. Thank you. You can sit down there. And I think next up we've got the lovely Monique. So Monique, I'm going to start off. Monique is a bookkeeper. And we're going to get a theme here between Howard and Monique. But Monique is a bookkeeper, but she also has a side business selling beauty products, which we're going to hear a little bit more about. But I want to read the quote that in your letter that you wrote to me when I interviewed you as a candidate. She said, "I don't live extravagantly, yet I find myself running in circles with the debt I have." And I think that resonates with so many people. I see a few nods. It's just, where does the money go every month? It just disappears. And I think having, the other goal that Monique had when she wrote into us was that she had a daughter starting grade 1 this year. And remember, this competition started last year, and her dream was to send the daughter to a school of her choice. And at the position she was in last year, that was not viable. She wasn't going to be able to do that. So we selected Monique because we felt that she had a basic need that every parent feels. And I think we've already heard about how important education is. But that's having enough money to educate your children. And the other area we identified was Monique's side business, which we believed that if she ran more efficiently and was able to invest more time into, would be able to provide her with that extra income to help her educate her children. And we felt that it would be a great case study for our readers. And in fact, Monique, I must tell you, your case study has been one of our most read on City Press. I think we were right and understand that would really, really resonate. But now I'm going to ask you to chat a little bit about your journey. I think I'm using 2 mics. I think I should be giving this one to someone else. Here, use that one.
Okay. I'm a mom, so my kids are my hearts outside my body. In about June last year, in fact, in East London, there are really 3 good schools. So everyone applies to these schools. And I was very lucky when I got my acceptance letter at the end of June last year. But when that acceptance letter came, I actually wasn't jumping for joy because I had debt and I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to afford this new school. So I felt defeated. And then a few nights later, I was on Facebook. I saw this Money Makeover competition and I entered. I was very happy when I was obviously nominated as one of the candidates. Also with my side business, I don't know if anyone knows the product Shazam, but yeah, I was selling that on the side, doing very well. But my systems that I had in place just wasn't sort of working to my benefit. I'd have ladies that sold very well, but no one had the money up front. So I was using my money, and often it comes first of the month, my debit orders go off, people have disappointed me. So it was really, it was more a nightmare than anything else. And it just happened at the time that this competition started, Shazam also made some big changes in their business where they actually started this web store where everyone actually had to order their own stock online. I actually lost a lot of consultants, but I actually also, the stress went away with that. With the Absa competition, yeah, so I streamlined a lot of the systems I had in place. Suddenly now, I wasn't ordering on behalf of people. I wasn't using my money. So I suddenly had time to go out and do my own sales. Yeah, what Absa also contributed was, I had 3 loans at the time. Never thought of consolidating those loans that amounted to like 3,700 every month. My financial advisor stepped in and he said to me, consolidate these loans. So from 3,700, I was paying 1,700. So suddenly I had 2,000 liquid cash, and that actually helped. What they also did was I was mixing personal and business, and that's also been a pivotal change where I actually kept business separate from personal, where I could actually see what I was making with my Shazam every month. I'm happy to say my daughter has started at the school. I'm comfortably paying her school fees, and I'm slowly paying off that one personal loan that we consolidated.
And Monique, I think for me on the journey, one of the things actually was really key with Jacques, your advisor, that separation. Again, it was so key for Howard, separating personal and business. So you now can actually say, this is my business, and I draw a salary from it. Isn't that how it's structured now?
Yes, yes it is.
And I think that's very important because people just don't, they don't, and when you came to us, you weren't actually sure if your business was making money or not because it was all just kind of mixed up in the household finances. And without that clarity, you don't know whether to keep with the business or not. And I think what you've realized, obviously, the changes as a business is very successful. So Monique, again, a question I asked Howard, is there just, if there's one thing that you want to say that's the biggest lesson you learned or something you'd like to share, what is that? Is there just one kind of point you'd like to make?
As a bookkeeper, I was looking at everyone else's financial positions. This competition came along, I was forced to look at my own financial position. And I really, my advice to others is don't go through life, just have a plan. And that's what these 6 months have done for me. I now say, this is where I want to be in 6 months, this is what I've got to do, and I'm working towards that.
And you have shared with me those notes you wrote yourself, which were lovely as well. Well, thank you very much, Monique.
Thank you.
And I think it's Booty, we've got you up next. And welcome. I didn't get to see you before. It's lovely to see you. So, Booty is a brigadier at SAPS, and he wrote to us because he suddenly realized you've only got less than 10 years to retirement. And he thought, maybe it's time I get my finances in order and get a little bit organized. And his real goals were to get rid of his debts and also to prepare for his children's tertiary education. You've got 4 children, 5 children, but how many? So one's in school at the moment, but 4 in tertiary. 3 in tertiary. So he is going to be entering retirement, still having to pay tertiary education fees. So part of that journey is to make sure that those children's education is cared for, because so he doesn't have to draw on his retirement income. Now, when we received Booty's application, he was actually one of our first applicants, and we selected him immediately because we saw the opportunity to showcase the importance of looking after retirement planning. A lot of people only wake up like 5 days before retirement date and think, oops, what do I need to do? And this was such a wonderful opportunity to really sit down with someone and say, okay, you've got 10 years. What do you need to be putting in place? And Booty also has wonderful ideas about, he's not going to retire. He has to retire because that retirement age is 60, but he's got a lot of plans about what he wants to do with the rest of his life. And we felt that his journey was going to tell a lovely story. So, Booty, I'm going to hand over to you.
Okay. Thanks, Maya. Afternoon. My entering the competition was based on my financial life cycle, where I was living an indebted life cycle. I don't know how I put it correctly. I bought a car. I started by buying a car which was out of the motor plan. Every year I used my 13th check to fix the car. Then Bank A gave me a credit card. The following year, Bank B gave me a credit card. I found myself having a lot of money. Then I started spending. And then I started living now a cycle of debts where I took a loan to close the loan, took a loan to close the loan until Absa City Press came. I read the City Press and I said, let me try. Maybe there's something I'm missing there. Then I was introduced to MED. Then we drew up a medium-term, short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals. Then we started splitting my problems, my financial crisis in terms of those goals. And then one thing that I've realized after I've entered was that I was a reckless spender because of those credit cards. I thought I'm rich, I've got money, but I was not aware I'm digging myself into a financial grave. I was on the verge of going into a debt review just before City Press and Absa came through for me. But yes, that's how I started, and then I embarked on this journey, and then my eyes were opened with those three plans that Matt Rudman did for me. And with plan A, your short term, I managed to close off my credit cards, which I couldn't do for 4 years. But within 6 months, I managed to close them off.
So just in 6 months, can I tell them the amount? In 6 months, he's paid off 68,000 Rand in credit card debt.
Yes. Thank you. It's because there's some money that I was just using without checking where I'm using that money. But I started recollecting, I check how many times I visited the bottle store a week. I started counting down, marking down, and adding those. So all that money becomes a liquidity that I could redirect. And I started disposing of some of the assets that were drawing money. Yes, I lost some of those assets because I paid for them, but I had to, in order for me not to perpetuate the debts, to get rid of them. So that was the primary objective. That so far, it's so good. I'm happy I've entered the race.
There's two things I have to share with you that Booty told me. One was he said, is Matt here? His advisor. Yeah, hey, Matt. Matt said to him, Booty, when your friends start telling you you're being stingy, you're doing the right thing. And the other one was when your daughter's fees became payable at the beginning of the year, registration for university. You know what he said to his daughter? Daddy's got this covered. Isn't that an amazing thing to be able to say children? Not on a credit card, not on a personal loan, not on a student loan. Daddy had it covered.
On the money liquidity that I managed to save.
It was all out of not going to the bottle store quite so quick. So, Booty, just the one, I'm going to ask you as well, just the one takeout that you want to share today.
What I have learned through this journey was the mistake that I've committed. Never, ever use the debt alone to pay loans because you'll forever be indebted. So that's the primary, the good lesson that I've learned. Never, ever use the debt to pay off the debt. You'll never get out of the debt. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you, Booty. And now we're going to hear from Zamu. Hello. So Zamu is actually the saver of our group. He didn't come in with any debt, so maybe we should all be taking advice from him up front. And in fact, he's a phenomenally financially astute individual, I must tell you. He works in human resources for the Department of Defense, and he wrote to us because he and his wife are saving for 2 weddings, the traditional wedding and the white wedding. And he wrote to me, the pending wedding between my wife and I puts pressure on me. I keep postponing it. It will cost a lot of money.
We selected Zamu for the competition for two reasons. One was that we thought this was such an important, this saving for a wedding is incredibly important. There's so many people who plan these big weddings but never understand what it's actually going to cost them. And I think this is a very interesting journey. I think it's kind of opened the eyes for both him and Caroline as to what this wedding's actually going to cost, and planning for it, saving for it. And also, although Zama was saving, he was very conservative. A lot of his money was sitting in money markets, and he really needed to learn a little bit more about investing for the long term. And we felt that those were two fantastic goals to share with our readers. So I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you very much. Good morning to everyone. As Maya has said, my story is a different one. I think when I'm finished, you'll be surprised. Why am I here? But I think you will understand. First of all, I must say, I am from KZN myself, Mankenganeni. It's 30 kilometers away from Nkandla. So I think... I think Mr. Makanya was talking about my father when... The reason why I'm telling you about where I'm coming from, it's because I was born in a very poor place. That place is very poor. You will be surprised that electricity was only installed in our home last year, January. So from 1994 until last year, we never had electricity. So we never had a fridge. We were not eating meat. Since I was born, we never ate meat. We were eating meat only month end when my father came back from Devon, and then my mother goes and buy groceries. We eat meat Saturday and Sunday, and we are done. We will see it next month. So I'm from a background where there is no debt. My father was never in debt. My mother was not working. There was never debt. So I was never in debt until I went to Devon in 2000 university. It was ML Sultan Technical at that time. My father, I didn't know how much money he was earning when I was a student, but I only realized when I was doing my third year that he was earning 4,000 rand that time. And the tuition fee was about 5,500. But because I was a student who was working hard, who didn't have a life, I was getting bursaries. So I was always paying half fees so my father could survive the tuition fees. Then I finished. 2004, I started working. I didn't know what was a debt. I continued living the life that I lived when I was home. So in my life, I've never taken a personal loan. The only reason I know a personal loan is because I read about it in an academic book, in a newspaper, and then I realized the advantages and disadvantages of personal loans, and I try to stay away from them. So as I'm speaking, you will realize maybe my wife is struggling because this guy is stingy. So that is my life basically before I entered the competition. The mistakes I've made before I entered the competitions, I'm driving, I think, car number 4 now. So I have a tendency of buying cars, and I pay them off, and then I get irritated, trade them in the afternoon. The following day, I'm driving another one. After 2 years, trade it in, get another one. So last year, June, it's not the first time. Last year, I followed the competition. So I'm a regular reader of the newspaper of Mr. Makanya, and then I'm a regular watcher of a former channel of someone I know. So I'm a person who's clued up with finances. I do my research. I'm a curious child. I'm that child who could sit in a computer until midnight trying to find new facts about useless things and useful things. So I followed the story last year of the 6 contestants. It was inspiring last year, and I thought, why can't I be there? Maybe I'll learn something I don't know, because I feel like I know everything. I'm like my child, Njabulo. Every day we argue about what he doesn't know. He thinks he knows. So I'm that person. So I wrote an email. If I may tell you my story, in June I wrote an email. You see, when you send an email and it asks you, do you want to reverse your email? So I reversed the email while it was leaving.
Did you?
I did, the first day. Then I speak to my wife. She didn't understand what was this story. And I'm like, it won't hurt. Actually, the reason why I reversed the email, because I thought my story was not serious. It wouldn't touch anyone. Because it was about people who are in debt, and I'm not in debt. Then the following day, I look at my email again. I'm like, let me resend this email. So it went. And I thought I'm done. Nothing will ever happen. And then Maya phoned me for interview. I was surprised that my story is touching someone. Then I realized maybe this thing is serious. So the biggest problem I had is I need to marry my wife. We are married legally, but we are still supposed to do the ceremony at home. The family needs it. We want people to know that we are married officially. So it's nice. I want to honor my wife. It's expensive, but I didn't know how much was it going to be. I kept on telling myself, this thing is expensive. It will happen at some point. So I was postponing it in my mind, and it feels good when I postpone it. And then after Maya phoned, I realized this thing is becoming serious. Maybe my finances are not in order, so I had to do something quick. And that thing was to paying off my car. I think I was only owing about 78,000 rand that time. When the competition launched in October 8, I was owing about 12,000 in a car. So November 15, it was my bonus month. I paid off the car. Since then, I haven't bought a new car. Usually in 2 months' time, I go to the garage and see what do they have there for me. So I'm still driving that old car. And it's nice to have that extra money with you. Another problem I had was I was not saving for retirement. So when I read Booty's story, it inspired me. I understood. He's closer to retirement. I'm still having about 25 years to go. And I'm thinking maybe in 9 years' time before I retire, I'll be like in his situation. And I wouldn't wish to be in that situation. I had a retirement annuity with another company. It was not done scientifically. You just think, how much money can I throw in that company? And I come up with a figure of 250. And then I continue. Thanks to Maya. After the competition, I was introduced to Charlotte Pretorius in Pretoria. I went to her. She did something that I didn't know. This is what I've gained here. Financial advisors work. I've always known that they exist somewhere. I thought it's people who rip off other people. I thought I knew more than them. I thought I knew more than them. And she will tell you it's difficult to advise me because I think I know what you must tell me.
She said to me, you know, he knows a lot, and he's asked me a lot of questions.
Some of them very difficult, even for myself. So she did a full financial review for me, including retirement annuity. She calculated how much will my pension be when I retire in 2041. It's not a secret, I'm 36. So I was surprised. There's no formula that I can use to determine how much my pension will be. And then she told me the shortfall from what you should be having to maintain your lifestyle is this. And for you to cover up, you need to pay this much amount of money if it grows at this rate and all these things. I didn't know. Then we agreed, we put up a plan for retirement. I'm happy. My children, I was always hoping that I will get promotion before they finish matric so that I can pay for their tertiary.
It's how many people follow that? That's our education plan.
You just keep on praying that the next rank must come. At least I must be a brigadier. So
he's in charge of HR. Maybe you can.
Yeah, I must speak to him, and he's an educated man, so I must speak to him. It seems like he has a plan. So a full financial advice was given to me. So there is a plan now for my 3 children based on their ages, based on investment. And another thing, I've always aspired to be, okay, let me put it this way. I have a fear of debt. I don't know, I will call it a debtophobia because for the lack of better word, I
like debtophobia.
I'm scared of being in debt. So I'm happy that you introduced me to Craig. I've not seen him today. He's working for Absa Stockbrokers. I used to watch this channel, a nice channel. It's still nice even though he's gone from the channel. It talks about platforms, trading, and EFTs. And I used to think it's electronic funds transfer until I met Craig and he explained to me it's not that EFT, it's something else, buying shares, how, all those nice things. I spent a day with Craig in Sentin. It was empowering. Now I know what is a unit trust. I bought on a unit trust last year for 3 months and I used to look at it every day. And my money was going down every day. So I canceled that unit trust because it was due to lack of information. You'll forgive me, Maya, when it's time to stop, you just pet me.
Yeah, we probably have to wind up, but because someone can talk. Maybe, you know what I want you to do? I want you to just quickly, briefly, just say the wedding. What do you, just tell them where you're at with the wedding.
Okay. The wedding is supposed to happen somewhere next year, May, June. We are still deciding on the date. But the investment is going well. Or not the investment per se. I will say the saving plan for the wedding is coming well. What shocked us is one of the tasks that we had to do was to do a comprehensive analysis of how much do we need. Is it still on?
Yeah.
Oh. We had to find out how much will everything cost. And for the first time, we sat down and we wrote piece by piece, how much will a DJ cost you? How much will the transport? And the biggest shock of my life was transport. One bus from KZN to Limpopo. The distance between my wife and my home is about 950 kilometers. And the bus will charge you 40 to 50,000. Return. One bus. Now, they must move from KZN to Limpopo. One weekend, the following week, we must go to KZN. So 100,000 is gone. Then you sit down and you think, before we buy any other thing, is it sustainable? Aren't we supposed to do it differently? Do we have to do it? If yes, we must do it. Mustn't be in a different form than what it is now. So we are still having this conversation with my wife and the families. But it's interesting that I keep on postponing something that looked impossible, and when I do a review, I realize that it should be done in a different way. So that's where we are, and I'm grateful to Absa and everyone involved. And I didn't know it was serious, guys. I'm realizing now, looking at the crew. There's a crew that came, Lizelle, you came December. I realized this thing is very serious. I thought it was a joke.
Oh, thank you, Zama. I think Zama, part of what actually got him onto the competition was when I phoned him, because I phoned quite a lot of people. It wasn't just the 6. I made and he just was so entertaining on the phone. I think that you got you into the competition as well. And Mabatu. So Mabatu is a town planner, Bella, and she wrote, when you wrote to us, you wrote such a lovely thing. You said, I want to learn to live in the present moment while saving for the future. I mean, isn't that what we all want to know? How do we balance today with tomorrow? How do we enjoy life today, but also taking care of tomorrow? And she also just said, you know, I want to save for my children's education, but there's nothing left to take me through when I'm at the end of the month to put money away for the education. And the other thing that Mabatu shared with me was that she said, you know, her and her husband had recently got married, and she felt that she was still living as a single woman when it came to her finances, and they hadn't learned to talk about money yet. So when we selected her, one of the things we loved was that one of her goals was to take her family on a family holiday. And I think, you know, we all talk about stuff. Excuse me, boys, but cars, you see. Cars and houses and clothes. But actually, what often makes us happy are those moments that we create with our family, like a family holiday. And we loved that idea. That was one of her goals. And we obviously identified that as a newlywed couple, there was an opportunity here for them to start looking at their finances together. So, Mabatu, over to you.
Okay. Good day, everyone. When I entered this competition, to me, it was like I just want to go to a family holiday. So the first months make me face my challenges as individual. It's when I realized that actually my financial challenges, they didn't start with my first salary check or salary. It started when I became a mom at the age of 17. And when I went to tertiary, I left my son for 4 years, and I couldn't provide for him financially. So when I came back by the age of 22, when I got my first job, the only thing I had in mind was like, I want to have a place to call home for me and him. So I took a home loan at the age of 24. It's when I first bought my first property. Then immediately my son was starting school, and I had to take care of my grandmother financially. I felt it's my responsibility because he took care of my son while I was studying. And those financial decisions, I took them as an individual. So when life happened, you get married, then there's extra kids like my second son and my third son. I didn't want to waste any time. Without discussing with my husband, I went and do educational plan for the younger ones. With the older brother, because already I couldn't reverse the time, I had to do the cash up. So I had to double everything that I have to save for his education because time is no longer there. So when we got married, for me to transform from being a single mom his work was to protect and provide for the child, I had now to open up to my husband. And one of the things, I couldn't even disclose how much I was investing. I took a life cover. I didn't tell him. I took income protector. You know all the things that you do. Should everything happens to me, I know my kids are taken care of. So I took all those things without discussing with him. So at the end of the month, there was no money left. He couldn't understand what is going on. You are going to work and everything, and I couldn't disclose how much I was investing to him. So when this competition came, it came at the right full time. It just assisted me with that transition from being a single woman to a married wife. I was able to talk to him to say, no, this is how much my life cover is. Should I get disabled now, I know how much I'm covered for. Like everything, I had to be open with him. And for him also to come on board, it was through the assistance of our financial advisor. They had their separate meeting where I was not there. The only feedback I got when he got home is like, I guess I have been selfish towards you guys. And I couldn't understand why he was saying it. And the other challenge along the way through this competition is whereby you have to share, you write your will. And there's this child that you want to protect with everything that you have, knowing the other brother, their dad is there. So with the help of financial advisor, I was like, no, you need to share the asset equally among your child. No one wants to feel I was left less, the others were left more, and you won't be there to answer. Don't create that hatred between your kids. Just share whatever you have, and things will just work out eventually. And our dream was to go on family holiday. We live in an inland, like Limpopo. My kids, they never been into a sea. They don't know how the sea look like and everything. That was important to me because I want them to grow up being open-minded. I want them to learn and also to embrace our country with its differences. So when I met with the financial advisor, I said to him, you know what, I understand I have debts that I need to pay. I have things that I need to protect should something go wrong. But with whatever I am saving now, I want to take my kids to a holiday. The main reason for it is like my son is already 15. Soon he'll be having his own life. And only God knows how much time we have as a family. So should I postpone it to say I'll do it some other time, we might miss that chance. So I had to do it. And one of the things that stood out through this competition is when life happened. I got sick. I had to go for an operation. My husband runs a meter taxi company. Then things were just going slow because of the changes we had in Zimbabwe. Even though there were neighbors, somehow, whatever decision they take, it affected us. So our income was a little bit less. But with all that happened during that competition, we just adjusted our lifestyle, and we said that holiday that we said we're going to take in February, we're still going to go. So we went to Balito for 3 nights. We paid cash. There was no loan or everything taken. And the joy of seeing my kids playing along the beach, there's nothing that... I felt like a winner already that moment. So I'm more at peace. I'm more at peace to say, you know, with the 6 months that passed, I was able to achieve my goal. Though there were obstacles around the way, life, it happens, you get sick, things don't go out, but you just have to make adjustment. Thanks.
That's wonderful. And I mean, Gerard has also been amazing. And one of the things I really learned through the journey with Mbatu is how important a financial advisor is in a marital discussion. Somebody who can talk to your partner that's not you. Because we all bring baggage. And, I can't remember, one of you said, when I was chatting to one of the other contestants, they said, you want to start talking about a will, and they say, what, do you want me dead or something? So sometimes you need that advisor. But is there one sort of key takeout that you want to share with the audience today?
I think what amazed me through this competition, I underestimated the importance of the role and responsibilities between a husband and wife when it comes to financial decisions. At this stage, I know what are my roles and my responsibilities. He knows his. So there's that line. No one no longer assumes that the other one is misusing his money or her money. Things just flow automatically. We are at the stage where he even knows when I don't have money for petrol. And I heard that you are having a meeting, so what are you going to do because you don't have petrol? And I'm like, how did you know? He's like, I did all the calculations. There's no way. So immediately he just covered it up for me. Things start to flow. And kids also, they start to notice little things. Both of my sons are under the age of 5. Now they understand when I say, I don't have money for toys or ice cream. The first month, they're like, but there's your wallet. Why are you not buying us?
It's a card.
So they were used to say, there's that card that you always swipe. Now, over the side, and you say, I can't swipe it. They stood out. The older one, he started to say, if you have money, can you please buy this for me? Or he will say, my bicycle tires are almost finished. Please consider including them in your budget. So things are just picking up like that.
Thank you. Vonish, and you've sat very patiently right to the end. So Vonne works as a departure controller at SA Airways, and I just have to tell you, share a little thing with you. He makes sure that the aeroplane takes off and doesn't fall over because it's overweighted. So I would just like, on behalf of Vonne, to say when they say to you, no, you can't take that bag on board, it's too heavy, please leave it off the plane for the benefit of everybody else sitting on there, because there is a very important calculation that has gone into how many bags can actually go on the plane. But Vonne's story as well, he was also somebody that really resonated with us, because Vonne had been this, young bachelor, had living a great life, had the car of his dreams. He was kind of managing to keep everything in the air, and then life happened. It was a wonderful life experience. His daughter was born unexpectedly, but suddenly he needed to buy a flat for the family. He had expenses. He had to start thinking about his daughter's future, and suddenly the lifestyle that he was leading was no longer conducive to this. His car was costing him quite a lot of money every month, and he had to start making choices and decisions. And of course, what always happens when these things happen to you is you start pulling on your savings, then you start putting on your credit lines, and then suddenly you wake up one day thinking, I can't carry on like this because I'm going to land in a debt spiral. And so we really selected Vonne for the competition because he represents so many young parents. I think especially parents who perhaps the child has come perhaps unexpectedly, and they're still young and they're still carrying a lot of debt from their perhaps lifestyle. It's very easy when you start working to take out credit cards and store cards. And I thought that his was going to be a really, really great journey to share as a parent. So over to you, Vonne.
Good afternoon. It's actually great to be here. And well, as Maya has alluded, my financial woes started, probably couple of months before the actual competition started, and I was happy. I still am happy. Well, I was, just started work, and I bought myself my first car, which was a Vorpa, and like most young guys, actually, that's the kind of a car that we aspire to get, and we're like, okay, no problem. I get the car, I didn't have a problem, and as time goes on, like one day you have a Vorpa, it's a nice, you're driving around, and then the next morning you wake up, there's a baby on the way, and you're like, okay.
Did the car lead to the baby?
Something led to something. So yeah, now there's a baby, and with the baby coming, now your perspectives start to change, because like obviously now you need to start thinking the future, you need to start thinking protection and home and education and all and all and all and all. And prior to that, I even I had a credit card, which I had it for almost 2 years. I never even used it. And after the birth of my beautiful baby, now I had to make sure that I get a property. So I went ahead and then I bought a flat, and with buying the flat and actually with not foreseeing some of the unforeseen cost that comes with a baby and day-to-day kind of running costs. So it was actually spiraling out of control.
So that's when you tapped into the credit card.
That's when I started tapping into the credit card, because like I said, I never used to have any problem before. But then now I started realizing that I get my paycheck. Couple of days, probably about 3 to 4 days later on, I don't have a single cent, and half of the things around the house are still even not done. And I'm starting to thinking, what happened to the money? Where is the money going? And I couldn't figure it out. And when I saw the second running of the Absa Money Makeover competition, because I was following the first one not to the full length, but I was following it. And then when I saw it, and I was going through some of the requirements that they wanted, you need to have an Absa account and all, and need to be the ages of this, not over indebted. And one of the one of the requirements that actually caught my eye was the fact that you were going to have your own financial advisor for the duration of the competition. And I was like, okay, my own financial advisor. I never even thought of that because, like, one of the contestants said that, like having a financial advisor, I never thought it was like for an ordinary person like me. It's for somebody with, a little bit of more cash. So I was like, okay, my own financial advisor. And I've seen that I actually need to have somebody, helping me through my finances, because there's probably something going on there which I'm not aware of. And so I was like, okay, no problem. I got the financial advisor after entering the competition, and it's like when you called me, I was like very surprised, but I was like, wow, nice. But I actually need to tell you that the fact that I was called as a contestant, that was way enough for me, and I get to have my own financial advisor. I was sold right there, so I can go to the office and tell my colleagues, I have my own financial advisor. I don't care what you're saying, I have my own financial, I can call her now, do you want me to call her, So the journey hasn't been, hasn't been as difficult as I thought, but it was a bit difficult because I had to come to point with a whole lot of things, like drawing up a budget and actually sticking to the budget.
Yes, the drawing up is easier than the sticking to it. Have you noticed
actually,
that?
the drawing up is a little bit easier, but sticking to it takes a lot of discipline. You need to be really, really disciplined in order for you to be able to stick to the budget plan, so that for the goals ahead, then you know as to what is it that you're planning for. And the other contestant, actually their stories has been very much inspirational to me, and I would like to actually think of myself as me. My story actually, it's a little bit wrapped around a whole lot of theirs, because like Howard, I actually want to have my own property business one day when I do have the land. When I do have the land one day,
you know who you need to vote for. Remember to vote for.
Definitely, so like Howard, I do want to have my own properties one day. So his stories has been inspirational as well. Monique's story as well. Her kids are just going to school now. My kid is about to go to school as well. So her story has been inspirational. Boot is about to plan for retirement. I'm gonna get there one day. So his story, I needed to make sure that I get as much as I can about the information, so that I don't probably find myself in the same situation where he's at when I get to his age.
He's in a very good situation now, 6 months later, I can assure
exactly. And Zamo is about to get married. I hope I'll walk that road one day. I'm hoping to walk that road. And like Zamo, I definitely need to start saving, because actually the story of the 2 provinces and the 50,000 rent, that's actually where I am. It's just the other way around. I have to go down there instead of, and Mabatu story, like saving so that I could actually take my entire family out for a holiday one day, So their stories have actually been way inspirational. My financial advisor, Mariam Khomotsi, she's been wonderful. She's been excellent, great. She's been very, very patient with me. So yeah, actually, like I said, Absa City Press, you've actually changed an ordinary person's life, actually. And I did think that at some point that it is a joke at some point, but then it hit hard
serious,
that, what, this is really serious, and this is actually very, very helping. So thank you, everybody. Thank you.
I'm just going to, I want to make one comment, because a lot of you have said it to me, but Vonne was one of them. And I think up front, was it Mondleo, that, putting yourself out there in public. And you said you've been incredibly amazed at the reaction from your colleagues. They've been so proud of you, and you haven't had any negative reaction to it.
Definitely, definitely. Actually, I've had a lot of positive response from a whole lot of my colleagues, and some of them, well, one or two will be looking at you like, so you are in debt, you are really in debt, But then, like, not in that condescending kind of a manner, it was, more kind of an inspiration, like, you know what, we've been through, or we are going through almost the same thing as you're going, and for you to put yourself out there, that's great and that's brave. But not only that, it is actually eye-opening for all of us, and we're actually a bit proud of. So yeah, I did get I'm still getting a whole lot of positive response from the competition.
Great. Thank you very much. So you've heard it from the candidates, and as you can gather, every single one of them has won in their own right. I don't think, unfortunately, we did have a final winner. We had to have a final winner. But I don't actually think the competition, that the prize money or the winning matters at all, because every single one of them has changed fundamentally their lives, and this journey has been incredibly beneficial to all of them. And but what I wanted to just quickly, we're going to move on now to the final winner. Hang on to your seats. But Liesel's going to stand up and announce it. But I just wanted to give you a little bit of a background as to how the decision was made, because you just heard these stories. Who here would like to actually try and vote on who was the best winner? I mean, it's impossible. I'm in tears every time I see them. When I see your photographs, I get tearful, because I think all of you have been phenomenal and have followed an incredible journey. So what we did is we took 11 criteria. Many of them were already set up as part of the competition. And these included things like budgeting and sticking to it, having a debt repayment plan or savings plan, emergency fund. We also looked at financial planning elements like risk cover and financial retirement planning. We also looked at changes in credit record, if your credit record improved. We looked at whether or not you tapped into any revolving credit like credit cards, store cards, or overdrafts during the period. And we also looked, and one of the things we really looked at obviously was whether you achieved your goals that you would set up for the next 6 months. And then we also weighted those because we felt that some things were obviously clearly more important than others. So for example, having a budget and sticking to it scored 5 out of 10, whereas having your risk cover assessed was only scored out of 3 out of 10. We looked, social media participation was one of the criteria, but we only weighted that out of 2. We didn't think that was really the main goal. And then we also gave points for exceptional achievements. So where we felt that the candidates had, and of course every single one of them has gone beyond, I think, even their own goals, but we scored them obviously for any major kind of turnarounds that they had achieved. And that information was then calculated along with the motivational letters that each of them wrote, and a motivational letter from each of their advisors, as well as a summary of their journey. And this was given to a panel at Absa. The panelists are here today. And a final decision was reached. And I'm going to hand that over to Liesel. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. Before I'm going to announce the winner, and it's so beautiful to see you all taking hands. I just wanted to say this has been certainly one of the most, if not the most rewarding project that I've handled in my career. And like Songezo said earlier, I'm going to give my age away. I've been working for 24 years, and I've never done anything as rewarding in my entire career. And really, I've been so emotional. Even last night, I'm so full of emotion just to have to be here and to have seen how each of you have blossomed, and it's meant a lot to me as a person, not just as the career person. Now, just to put everything in perspective, as Maya said, we had very strict category, we had a wonderful panel, and we really analyzed and dissected each of your performance through the 6 months. And it was such a close call. I wish I could just show you the scorecard. It was literally, neck on neck on neck. It was so close. And what was the final deciding factor was the exceptional achievements that Maya mentioned. And the person that's going to be our winner today was really the individual that had major obstacles to overcome in the last 6 months. And the fact that the obstacles were overcome so amazingly. And the turnaround story was just, it was mind-blowing how this individual just coped with everything that was thrown towards this person. I'm not going to give the sex away. So it is a really, really proud moment for me now to say that Howard is our winner. I must quickly just share something wonderful with you. When we did Howard's interview in December, Howard shared with us the story. When he was born, he was actually baptized. His name is Hani, like Chris Hani, H-A-N-I. But everybody through the years started, and his father then didn't get that spelling quite right, or whoever filled in the form didn't get that spelling right. So it ended up being honey, like what we get from bees. So he was then Honey. And when he started his job in the security firm, doing the security at game stores, his boss was an elderly white gentleman. And he told him that it was really difficult. He says, I call my wife Honey, I call you Honey. So he then gave him the name of Howard, and that's why Honey is now Howard. And I'd like to give you the mic just to say what is going through your head at this stage.
Thank you. Thank you to everybody. Yes, I just want to say thanks a lot to Absa, to City Press, especially the biggest thanks goes to my contestants. I've learned a lot from them. I must just mention this one thing. It came a time when I lost my car. I have to go and buy a new car. And I have learned from these two gentlemen, especially Yvonne and Booty, the challenges that they came when they were buying a car. I used their experiences to avoid making a wrong decision when it came to buy a car. So that was very, very important. So it shows that I'm following your stories and I've been using that to apply to my life. I just want to say thank you so much, especially with City Press. It has been a long journey with them. It started in 2013, if I remember properly. I've just bought a copy of my City Press, and I went to the back of the Business Times, and I came across Maya Fisher's articles. That's when my journey started to be where I am today. Her articles spoke to me. It has practical examples that I could apply into my life. It taught me how to pay off debt. Start with the smallest one, take the money that you have saved, you pay the big one. We were in deep debt by then. And we managed to pay all the debts that we have. And in 2016, we started saving up for buying the second property. And eventually, the competition came in, and we went into the competition. And that's then what really changed my life. Like I have said earlier on, if I wasn't in this competition, when disaster struck in December, I wouldn't have survived that. Absa and City Press changed our lives so much. I've got my wife sitting there. There she is.
Elton, I do think you have to, you have an amazing financial advisor as well.
Yes.
The financial, there you go.
What can I say? When I first met Howard, I mean, through everything that he's been through, he's always had a smile on his face. When times were down, he rose to the occasion. He stuck to the plan. I mean, he worked late hours, weekends, and thanks to his wife for the sacrifices, I mean, he's done exceptionally well. And the road going forward is a long-term journey. We're still best of friends, and I think for the next 5 years, you're going to be watching the space. Howard got a long way to go. And I'm so glad to be part of his journey in his life.
So before we all go, first of all, sorry, I have to hug Howard. Congratulations. Well deserved. And Elton, and you haven't met, thank you. And Elton, you've been a superstar as well. Thank you. We, from City Press, we wanted to give a thanks to our contestants because without you, and my sound is on, without you, this competition wouldn't be possible. Without you, we wouldn't be selling newspapers. So City Press has put together a little additional prize for each of you. And I don't want you to spend this prize on paying off debt. I want you to enjoy this money. That's my permission to you. I'm going to ask Mondli to come stand up and to give each of you your prizes. So here we go. Take a seat.
Okay. Is it on? Okay. Can I sing first? Yeah, all right. Yeah. Those stories were absolutely, I don't know, awe-inspiring, I must say. Kind of like, I don't think there's anybody in this room who can walk away from here and not actually recognize some story in their own lives and also find parts from the stories that you have taken to get out of where they are. And I think that I just want to really thank you all for, as long as I said earlier on, just putting your stories out there, and it's courageous, and for doing what you have done, not just for yourselves, but for so many, many, many thousands and thousands and tens of thousands of people who have been following your stories, I think. So thank you, and congratulations, Howard. We'll be coming to check up.
Right. The first person is Monique. Shall I tell you why I ordered this?
Yes.
Monique, this is for you, and I want this to go to your 2-ply and coffee slush fund. When Monique we had to do a budget, she said to me, Maya, I'm sorry, I'm not using 1-ply toilet paper, and I'm keeping my favorite brand of coffee. So I thought, well, there you go. This is for you to make sure you never, ever have to use 1-ply newspaper, and you'll always have coffee. Oh, I should just show you. This is also, we framed their articles that were in the City Press. We also have a lovely wine cooler and bottle of wine for the advisors. Your advisor, unfortunately, couldn't be here. Can I give this to you? Thank you. You can. Or if you can't, just tell Liesel. Okay. Mondli?
Okay, the next one is Vone, and he's going to spend it on the world's most loved car, and I will explain why.
So again, Vonne and his car has been just a wonderful journey for us. He really loves it, and he has kept it. He's refinanced it, but we thought that he probably needs to spend some money on the world's most loved car. So that's what you may spend this money on. I give you permission, and you have your car financed. And I must tell you, this article has been one of the most read on City Press. As Howard said, he learned from it, and I think you've shared your story with many people. And Maria. And I want to say thank you to Maria. You've been amazing, Maria. Without the financial advisors, none of them would be here. Thank you. Thank you.
Mbuti, you live in Maikeng, I take it. Mbuti? You live in Maikeng?
For Matt's.
I mean, like, no, I'm asking, where is provincial headquarters?
That's the back.
In Potchefstroom. Okay. All right. The reason I ask is because I'm going to be visiting you. Yeah. Because what you're going to be spending your money on is drinks. So so your friends do not think you're stingy, but I'm going to be coming. Please come up.
And Matt, you can come up as well. There we go, Butti, because now you can tell your friends Maya's given you permission to buy a few drinks. There we go, Matt. You see his advisor's strict. You'll make him save it.
Okay, and Mabato, I don't think you're going to be getting a visit from me, though. Yeah. Because yours is for lipstick, a fabulous dress, and an occasional KFC.
So, Mabato had to give up her morning KFC as part of her budget. So we've given her a little bit of money so she can go occasionally. And she did tell me, Maya, having to walk past those lipsticks makes it really tough. So there you are. Will you take the cover? Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, Zamo, you will be inviting us, I take it. Everyone in this room will be on that bus to Limpopo. So yours is to spoil the wife and invest in the wedding.
Caroline. You know why I said spoil your wife? Do you know what he said to me, Caroline, when I asked him, why are you spending all this money on a wedding? He said, it's an investment in my wife. Which is a beautiful thing. And for Charlotte, there we go. Thank you very much, Charlotte, as well as his advisor. Let's get pictures of you guys together. Thanks.
And Howard apparently wants to create a monster out of his kids. So there's
not his kids, his business.
Oh, the whisker. No, but it says here that the laptop is a spreadsheet. Oh, it's a spreadsheet whiskey. Okay.
So poor Howard has had to learn how to draw up a massive amount of spreadsheets. And I've seen these. Elton has taught him how to do Excel and draw up spreadsheets, and he really needs a new laptop to do it, and that's what we would like you to spend your money on, Howard. Okay. And of course, Elton, the advisor, thank you again. Without you, none of this is possible. Thank you. Great. Yes, I think we're going to hand over to who's closing. Will you please close everything for us?
Am I closing with a prayer? Guys, I don't know what to say. I'm a little emotional, I think, because it's a lot that you've done for others. You've shared your stories with other people, and I have absolutely no doubt you've changed so many other people's lives. It's not so much, I think, what you didn't win or what you've won, but the kind of difference that you've made in other people's lives. I'd like to thank your financial advisors as well. I'd like to thank Maya, Mondli, Liesel, again. I said, we got to do it again, and Gail, and we got to really do it again, because this, we read newspapers for the sensation, but there is very important work that journalism and newspapers do, and this is it. It is this kind of thing. It changes people's lives. It's got a social impact. It's got an economic impact. I want to thank the City Press team for providing us with this opportunity to be part of the project that you initiated. We really appreciate it. And thank you very much to all our contestants. You reflect the lives of ordinary people that we know in our families, our own lives, and the financial advisors once more, and our audience and the rest of our team. Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
So I just want to... Sorry, I had a quick question from Zamo asking if he could enter again. So the answer is no, but I do need to warn you all. We're going to come back and see where you are in 6 months' time before the next competition. So you all have to behave. Okay, and stick to the program. Thank you very much. Thanks.